no lives matter. So it's a straight war. I'll be real with you. It's war. We're at war. This isn't like they say. There's no friends at war. So I respect the guy. As you said, he's done well, all that good stuff. But we're fighting.
To fight? Not as of yet, I'll be honest with you. I don't want to go get my head bashed in. Sparring is sparring, and we can see some sort of technicality being shown. Now, a lot of people are calling it fake. They're saying that it's set up.
Jared Anderson, Lawrence Okoli, some of the best the sport's got in the heavyweight division. And he said there's no way these guys are actually going in there and sparring to the full extent. Look, you're a fighter. You've had so many camps throughout your life. Do you think Jake is almost asking them to go easy, or do you think this is proper sparring going on?
The point of sparring is to learn. The point of sparring is not for them to get in there and give Jake a concussion so he can't fight.
The first real shock didn't come from a punch. It came from Anthony Joshua exposing the illusion. Calm, surgical, and unapologetic, Joshua questioned Jake Paul's viral knockout sparring clips, calling them exaggerated and carefully staged for the camera. He reminded everyone that real sparring is unforgiving, balanced, and violent, and that the ring always reveals the truth. The irony cut deep when Joshua still showed respect, acknowledging Paul as a worthy opponent, despite the smoke and mirrors. This wasn't trash talk, it was a warning. Subscribe now, because this was only the beginning.
As a boxer?
Yeah, definitely. He's always wanted to be a boxer. He's got a stand-up game. I respect him as a boxer.
As the hype grew louder, analysts began dissecting Jake Paul's sparring footage, and what they found raised red flags. Critics argued the clips only show knockouts, never full rounds, never fatigue, never moments where Paul is tested. They insisted that without 3 or 4 uninterrupted rounds, no honest evaluation can be made. The concern deepened when attention shifted to the sparring partners, fighters far less skilled and far more hittable than an elite heavyweight like Joshua. And once people noticed what was missing, the entire narrative started to unravel. Like the video if you want the full truth behind the highlights.
More of the sparring videos. I agree with that. If we're going to see that clip of you knocking this guy down, we want to see at least a full round. We want to see what you're actually doing. If you're going to show us knocking this guy down, show us more. Is his opponent any good? Okay, that's another very good question. His opponent may just be, and we couldn't really see much of him there. He didn't really throw a shot. His opponent might be a nobody. His opponent might be a guy who started box fit a few weeks ago. So that's a very good point. It's things like this we have to actually ask when we, boxers essentially putting up videos of them knocking people out. Who is this guy? You need to know that, because then that kind of qualifies that knockout or knockdown to be good or bad. Cheap shot.
Then Andrew Tate stepped into the conversation and shattered the illusion completely. According to him, these heavyweights weren't there to challenge Jake Paul, they were there to collect a paycheck. Tate explained that punches were pulled, pressure was reduced, and defense was optional, turning real sparring into controlled rehearsal. While the sessions may help Paul practice techniques, Tate argued they don't simulate the chaos of a real fight, and when rehearsal ends, reality doesn't hold back. Follow the channel, because when the real fight starts, everything changes.
I think that's everything wrong with the sport.
I think as a boxing purist, it's quite upsetting to watch, young fighters struggle to pay the bills and struggle in little shithole gyms around the country trying to get big money fights and going through the Olympics and going through the amateurs and not being able to pay their bills. And I understand how frustrating that can be. So I think that's where the frustration comes from. I don't think it's everything that's wrong with boxing. I think that anything that gets people to tune in to a boxing match is good for the sport.
One more comment that he said was, Jake's been sparring Frank Sanchez, Jared Anderson, Lawrence Okoli, some of the best the sport's got in the heavyweight division. And he said there's no way these guys are actually going in there and sparring to the full extent. Look, you're a fighter. You've had so many camps throughout your life. Do you think Jake is almost asking them to go easy, or do you think this is proper sparring going on?
The point of sparring is to learn. The point of sparring is not for them to get in there and give Jake a concussion so he can't fight. So are they trying to knock Jake out? No. But are they giving him enough work for him to learn? I like to think.
Davies didn't sugarcoat a single word. He warned that Jake Paul could run like a thief in the night once he fully grasps the danger he's walking into. Drawing from the devastating knockout he witnessed Francis Ngannou suffer, Davies emphasized that Anthony Joshua isn't content, he's consequence. The moment the bell rings, this stops being a spectacle and becomes a survival test. This isn't hype anymore, it's a collision. Subscribe now, because this fight could rewrite careers.
Riyadh, go on, I watched him knock out Francis Ngannou inside 2 rounds.
Yeah,
How can that go 3 rounds with
Well,
Jake Paul?
It's very hard to knock out somebody that just hasn't come to fight and somebody that's just trying to survive. And that's what I think will happen to Jake
Do you think
Paul.
he'll run?
I think
He'll
he'll run like a thief in the night. Once he sees the size of Joshua, those little 10-ounce gloves that they're going to be wearing, he's going to be petrified and his backside will fall out.
I went to the press conference in Miami for that a couple of weeks ago, and he was planning to motorboat AJ, and he thought differently of it when he was standing with him.
Good luck with that, mate.
No, AJ was he'd have got motorboated out of there.
Listen, mate, listen. Good luck with that, because if he starts out with AJ, puts his chin out and starts trying to goad him in, I think Anthony Joshua will definitely iron him out early.
Do you think he finishes his boxing career then?
Let's hope so.
If Jake Paul does something weird and wins, is that impossible?
Nothing's impossible. Nothing is impossible. Highly unlikely, but not impossible.
If you'd been invited to fight Jake Paul for 25, I've heard it's 25 million. That's me behind the scenes. Other people have told me it's 60. Other people have told me it's more for Anthony Joshua. If you had been a current world champion and you'd been offered that fight with Jake Paul, would you have taken it?
100%.
So he had to take it.
He had to take
So
it.
you've got nothing against him taking it?
I've got nothing against him taking it, spending the money even. Still got nothing against that. My concern is for the health and safety of Jake Paul and the sport of boxing.
Because boxing will be pulled into the dock if something happens to Jake. It would never have been licensed.
Jake Paul himself admitted that the truth leaks through the cracks. In interviews, he revealed that recent sparring sessions left him bruised, bloodied, and nursing a damaged nose. But analysts reviewing the footage noticed something unsettling: opponents exaggerating reactions, drifting to the ropes after light shots. The highlights looked explosive, but the reality looked curated. And when illusion meets experience, something always breaks. Hit like if you see the difference between hype and preparation.
My nose has moved a couple millimeters to this camp. I'm not gonna lie, this sparring, the heavyweights, my nose has a slight little something in there. A guy by the name of Frank Sanchez, he definitely cracked it a little bit. But yeah, man, it's bad. Wait, hold on. Look at that, dude. It's like Squidward, dog. But don't respect me for getting in there. Respect me when I beat his ass. I'm not just walking into a fight. I'm going to win. That's what's gonna shock the world. I will become the king of boxing.
As scrutiny intensified, experts began spotting a pattern that couldn't be ignored. Sparring partners reacted too easily, lost positioning unnaturally, and created moments designed for camera-friendly knockouts. The dominance looked convincing, but not authentic. Commentators warned fans not to confuse promotional footage with true readiness. Against a real heavyweight, exaggeration doesn't survive impact. Subscribe, because the ring doesn't care about highlights.
Shot did it or something like that. Like, even if you, especially if you see a replay, sometimes it happens so fast. Like, if it's a replay, usually like, oh, there's the one, or like you get a reaction when someone gets hit. You're not like, oh, I wonder if. Like, if you're questioning it, then typically the fighter gave in or decided to kneel down or push himself out of the ring or wanted to get out of the fight. You can tell right away. Like, when I land a body shot on somebody or when I got hit by a body shot, you could tell. I don't know, you guys can make your own assessment, but to me, this is a little sketchy. To me, the person he was boxing, obviously.
BJ Flores offered a rare look behind the scenes of Jake Paul's mindset. According to his former trainer, Paul isn't chasing views anymore. He's chasing legitimacy. By stepping away from celebrity opponents and toward real professionals, Paul is trying to prove he belongs in boxing's inner circle. Flores emphasized that this ambition takes courage, but courage only matters when it's tested under fire. Follow the story, because this test changes everything.
Very, very tough fight. And, you know, to anybody in the industry, you know, Anthony Joshua is a world champion, a gold medalist. This is a big difference from, you know, anybody else that, you know, Jake's fought in the past. But, you know, he's looking for these big challenges. He wants to fight the toughest guys. And I think with Anthony Joshua, he got exactly that. I mean, Anthony Joshua is a guy I would have never dreamed in a million years Jake would have fought him in his fifth year boxing, in a fight situation like this. I thought he would have given it a little more time, but I mean, this is an extremely difficult fight. Anthony Joshua is 6'6", 245 pounds, extremely dangerous, gold medalist, world champion. And I think this this is a very, very difficult fight for Jake. So I wouldn't have made this fight. No.
What do you give it in terms of percentage wise? Like 60% AJ wins, 40% Jake Paul wins, or 50-50, 70-30? How do you give it?
Well, I mean, you got to go up when you go off the resumes. That's what I go off of. You know, a lot of people will say potential, like, you know, oh, this could happen, this could happen. I only go off like who's beating who. So if you look at it on paper, it doesn't look like Jake has any chance on paper. But I think that's probably why he wanted to make this fight. And like I said, I'm not in the camp, so I don't know all the you know, the conversations that are going on in camp Jake Paul right now. But on paper, this looks like an extremely difficult fight. And any boxing experts, you know, that I've talked to, whether it's former fighters or whoever, just they don't give Jake any chance at all. I'm not saying he doesn't have any chance. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that you know, everybody in the know-how as far as the boxing world, they're like, Jake has zero chance to win this fight. And you know, it is on paper though. It does seem like it's early, and it does, you know, seem like it's premature in my opinion.
So what are you giving it then? A 90-10?
You know, like AJ's had, I don't know, probably I want to say 13 or
Despite Paul's efforts, critics continued to question the quality of his preparation. Analysts argued that his sparring partners don't resemble Anthony Joshua in reach, speed, timing, or tactical intelligence. The viral knockout of Greg Hardy, they claimed, was misleading. Hardy was predictable and far easier to hit. Preparing for Joshua requires replicating his unique combination of power and awareness, and without that, preparation becomes fantasy. Like the video if you think preparation decides outcomes.
Paul is sparring all the wrong boxers. His preparation for the Anthony Joshua fight, and let me tell you why. The names that he's got here are Jared Anderson, Frank Sanchez, and Lawrence Okolie. They're all professional heavyweights. They are all probably top 20 heavyweights in the world right now, which is fair enough for Jake to bring them in. But in terms of preparing for an opponent, Jared Anderson is too cat and mouse. His game isn't about pure power. It is not about boxing as a boxer-puncher. It is very much an outboxer. Anthony Joshua is not going to do that. Frank Sanchez has his own kind of unique style, but I would still put him in that category as almost a plodding heavyweight. He's very, very slow. His hand speed's not quite there. Defensively, he's not that switched on. And Lawrence Okolie is very, very much a hit and grab style heavyweight. You've seen Okolie, his fights are a little bit boring. Some elements of his game are similar to Anthony Joshua. He's probably the closest match, I would say, out of these guys. But the problem is with Okolie, he'll throw maybe 1 or 2 shots and then he will hold. And when people throw shots back at him, he will hold. Anthony Joshua, he's never been the best at holding. He's never been the best in the clinch. His inside work's not quite there. The height and somewhat the weight would probably be quite the same for these guys, but in terms of actually replicating a boxing style, it would have been far, far better, in my opinion, getting somebody in like maybe a Tony Yoka. Even potentially drafting in Daniel Dubois if he's available. Maybe even a Filip Hergovic. I know Richard Riakpor's just had a fight, but Riakpor, in my opinion, would have been a better pick than all of these guys. Yeah, that is why Jake Paul has chosen the wrong sparring partners. Why this fight's going to be horrible for Jake. But I'll give him his respect. Fair play for bringing actual pro heavyweights in for sparring. Let me know in the comments, do you think these guys are good sparring partners? Think I'm wrong? Or do you agree with me? To improve Jake Paul's chances in the fight. Hit that follow button if you made it this far. And as always, a like, a favourite, a save and a share, a repost.
Analyst Joey Knight delivered the final reality check. Jake Paul understands exactly what a fight with Anthony Joshua represents: global headlines, massive payouts, and non-stop media attention. This spectacle isn't accidental. It's engineered for maximum exposure. Paul knows the risks, but he also knows the rewards. The question isn't whether this fight makes sense financially, it's whether it makes sense physically. Subscribe now, because when the lights turn on, the truth steps into the ring.